Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing. And do you know what? Right here in the UK, in our little pocket of the UK, RC is absolutely booming.
It is.
Our two local clubs, DMS in Watford,
Chock-a-block, which is great.
Amazing. And my regular haunt at the moment is MK, and that is absolutely rammed at the moment. And do you know what the best thing is about MK?
Go on.
The amount of kids and newbies coming into the hobby.
There is a lot of new people. That is the focus of what we do. We want to get new people getting into our hobby, your hobby, because it's great.
Exactly. And on this channel, we've talked a lot about cars. We've done unboxings, we've done builds, we've done race analysis, we've done driving technique, we've done car setups, we've featured events.
Yeah.
We've done loads of
We've
stuff.
popped along and done loads of things.
We have popped along to, I think it's nearly 40 different clubs in the UK. We've got footage from as many of them as possible. However, there's a really important part of RC that doesn't get enough of a mention, and everyone out there has to do it.
Absolutely right. That's right. We're talking about Marshal, and we've been asked on many occasions, boys, can you do a video on marshalling, some of the basics? And we said yes, we will. So we have taken it upon ourselves to note down a few do's and a few don'ts of marshalling at the clubs that you might well go to.
So if you are new to the hobby and you go RC racing, the way it works is you will race your car. At the end of your race, you will put your car in scrutineering or back in the pits, and you will marshal the race directly after your race. Then, when that race finishes, the next marshal will come out, relieve you, and you can go back to the pit, and then you get your car ready for the next thing. So that's just how it works. You race, you marshal. Some clubs, they have a rule, if you don't marshal, you don't race.
Yeah, well,
unless
enough, isn't
you have a disability or an ailment that means marshalling isn't.
Yeah, and if you have got a disability or an ailment, or occasionally I might put my back out, it means I actually can't marshal. Just speak up, say, and someone who will hopefully swap places with you.
Swap places and step in. So, rule number one. Should we do that? Should we do like a countdown for rules?
All right. We've got to do it sort of like, you know, rule number one.
Before we get on to what a marshal needs to do, the most important thing to say is the marshal is out there doing you a favour.
Doing you a favour.
If you didn't crash, the marshal wouldn't have to do anything.
Can I just say one thing though? And I know people say this, and it's so hard not. Please don't shout at marshals. Some of them are kids, right? And it is so bad. But I have actually been guilty of shouting.
There's different ways of shouting at a marshal. There is.
Is there?
There is, because sometimes you might need to raise your voice a little bit if the marshal's not following these rules and they're stood there on their phone.
Right,
that's not cool. So
anyway,
shall we go through?
Right, the first thing is don't shout. That's for drivers. Number one, you shouldn't crash. You should be good anyway.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but you know, if you do crash, it's your own fault, to be fair.
Yeah.
And don't shout at people, but let's get on with it. Come on.
Cool. So, if you are a marshal, the first thing is, I'm going to say it again, you shouldn't be on your phone. You shouldn't be on your phone checking how you did in the race before. That can wait till you get back to the pit. So please keep phones zipped up in pockets. Last thing you want to do is run out on a track, drop your phone on the track, things like that. Okay, so you need to be prepared to marshal.
All right, point number two, make sure you wear suitable clothing. I have seen people on the track before wearing those croc things. Oh, I hate those things, yeah.
Yeah, and they've run out onto the track, run off it, and left the croc in the middle of the track. So.
Yeah, there is that. It can slip off your foot. Also, if a car hits your foot, believe me when I say it's happened to me, and I've had good footwear on, it hurts a lot. So, decent footwear.
Point number three. This one is all about you as a marshal. It's important to keep you safe. Don't go charging out onto the track and run in front of traffic. Wait till an appropriate moment to get out on the track. They shouldn't have crashed. Wait for the cars to pass. Go out. Marshal the car.
When you get to your marshal point, just have a look at which way the cars are going around the track, because it's quite easy to forget that when you're a bit stressed. Maybe there is somebody raising their voice at you on the rostrum, which they shouldn't be doing. You might panic a bit and put the car the wrong way on the track. So make sure, familiarise yourself with your part of the track, and also Don't watch the racing. That's not your job to watch the racing.
No, you need to watch your corner of the track and marshal your corner of the track. Speaking about that, if you've got time before the race starts and you know where you're going to be marshalling, look at where you're going to position yourself, because if a car crashes, what you don't want to be doing is standing in the middle of the track to marshal the car. Try and stand out the way. Ivy, sometimes you'll have a little corner bit that you can stand in where you can't get hit by cars, and you marshal so you're not going to be getting in the way of other cars coming around the track. Another one, actually, worth pointing out, when you're out marshalling, you might be able to get out in front of the cars before they get to you, and you're about to marshal the car. Don't be standing there, because some people are quite big, aren't they, boss?
They certainly are.
Once you marshal the car and you've got to wait to get off the track, it's good etiquette to crouch down, keep yourself nice and low so you're not impeding the vision of other racers up on the rostrum.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Can you come up with a better one?
Okay, so the next point is before you put the car back down on the track, if they're coming from the left, just look to the left, because if you put the car down, especially if it's on the straight, car's going to come super fast, and the first thing they're going to do is hit that car. You have the potential to write 2 cars off, and there will be 2 very angry drivers who want to have a word with you.
Yes, definitely don't chuck the car down in front of oncoming traffic.
You know what? It's tempting to do so, because it is quite panicky when you marshal, especially at the bigger events. Where you've got some pretty good drivers there. You want to get their car back on the track, don't you? But even so, wait till the appropriate moment, stick the car down, and away you go.
When you go to different clubs, they all have different rules, but some clubs will have designated marshal points. They may have a number, which means your race number, if you're racer number 1, you'll go to marshal point number 1. If you're racer number 5, you'll go to marshal point number 5. So different clubs have different setups, but some clubs, they're very kind. They put safety barriers in, don't they? So if there's a designated space, sit behind the barrier, sit where you're supposed to be to avoid injury. It's about keeping those marshals safe.
Okay, this next one's aimed at the drivers. Whatever you do, when somebody picks your car up, don't blip the throttle. It's actually quite dangerous. It can catch the skin, especially the 1/8 guys. Those cars are super powerful. If you blip it, they're not even going to pick your car up. If your car's upside down on a 1/8 event or in any event, and you're standing there trying to do that and get the marshal's attention, the chances are they will look at your car and not pick it up, and they're well within their rights to do that. So don't blip the throttle.
Definitely. Good one, that. So, indoors, we have a real good RC community, which is responsible for putting a track down. They put the track down, they pack the track away at the end of the day. Now, a marshal, if there's been a crash on a track and the guttering has been moved, as a marshal, it's also your job to just put the track back together. It might be that you need to move the guttering, move the posts or the sandbags just to tidy up the corner. Keep the track and the race moving. Communication is a massive thing, and do you know what? The more experienced drivers, you can hear them all the time on the rostrum communicating and talking. However, some drivers might be less experienced and they might not feel confident shouting out if they've had a crash. Therefore, if there is a car crashed on the straight, it's good to call out car on the straight so people coming onto it know to be mindful. And there's lots of commands that people could give, like go high on the straight, go low on the straight. It tells you whereabouts to drive to avoid crashed or cars that are being marshalled. So do you know what the key of the message is? Marshal as you want to be marshalled. If you do that, everyone's going to be happy and no one's going to blame you for making a little mistake here and there.
Yeah,
it's a hobby at the end of the day.
We're doing it for a laugh, ain't we?
We are.
So listen, I hope that video has been of some use to you. Please share it and get it out there. If you can think of any more, please feel free, stick it in the comments below. Let's get a little bit of a thread going, and hopefully we'll see you trackside soon.